What's going on, everybody? It's the Home Theater Hobbyist here, and today we have our full review of the Q B12 Subwoofer, the latest from Q Acoustics, so let's get to it. So here it is, the Q B12 Subwoofer from Q Acoustics. Q Acoustics is a UK-based speaker company. They sell bookshelf speakers, floor-standing speakers, home theater systems, sound bars, speaker wire, subwoofers, and basically everything you need to get going in the audio portion of your home entertainment setup. The QB12 from Q Acoustics is a sealed subwoofer with a 12-inch driver. It features a Class D amplifier that outputs 220 watts of continuous power and 440 watts of peak power. It has a frequency response from 28 Hz to 300 Hz. The QB12 stands 15.75 inches tall, 15.75 inches wide, and 17.56 inches deep without the floor spikes, and it weighs 40.8 pounds. The Q B12 subwoofer is a sealed 12-inch driver subwoofer. That means it doesn't have any ports, which is kind of nice because it allows you to have a 12-inch subwoofer in a much smaller cabinet. This is more akin to the size of a ported 10-inch subwoofer, which means that you have a lot more placement flexibility because it is smaller than a lot of other 12-inch subwoofers with ports. But it also means that you don't get as much low end in the subwoofer as you would with, let's say, a ported subwoofer. But honestly, just being honest, you don't miss a whole lot of depth with this particular subwoofer. But let's talk about the design. As you can see here, I have the black version, but it also comes in white, gloss black, and gloss white. Now, Q Acoustics sells those three other colors so that you can find one to match your system, whether it be the 3000i or the concept lineup of speakers that they have. The entire QB12 line has the same front grille, this cloth grille here with the Q Acoustics logo down there at the bottom. Now, this grille is not removable, but that is kind of okay in my opinion because of the way they've designed this cabinet. The first thing you'll notice is you've got these edges here, so it's nice and rounded there. But what I really like is the fact that the cabinet actually kind of surrounds the cloth grille. You've got a little bit of cabinet wall all the way around, and it is, symmetrical. There's not one side's not thicker than the other. But what I like about this is it gives it a nice classic timeless design. It looks very, very nice, and I think it's just going to stand the test of time with that reflective Q down there and then this surround all the way around it. So I'm not mad that you can't pull the grill off of this speaker. So here on the rear of the subwoofer, as you can see, you've got the black surface finish all the way around the top. It looks good back here as well. And you also have the power amplifier. And one thing I like about this power amplifier is they've added a little bit of design to it. You've got these lines that come straight down, so it kind of looks pretty good, but then they blend into this Q Acoustics logo back here. And I like this because honestly, you're not really going to see the back of the subwoofer, but yet they've given you a little bit of attention to detail, something there that looks really cool. And honestly, I think this is one of the best looks of the subwoofer, having this little cube back here on the back that you're really not going to see. But let's move on to the business portion of the rear of the subwoofer, and that's over here. We'll start up top. You've got the LED light right here that is either green if it's on or red if it's off. And just below that, you have the level, so you can turn the volume up or turn the volume down. And you also have the crossover setting. You can set it to whatever you want. I usually set mine at 80 Hertz, or you can set it in your AV receiver, which is really where I set mine. And you can just select AV receiver and it will crossover wherever you set it in your AV receiver. Now, to do more with the subwoofer, like turn it on, turn it off, you actually have to open this door. You just pull it off just like that. It is attached by magnets, and inside here you have all of your on-off switches along with your cable connections. Up top in the top left corner, you have an on and an auto on, so you can just switch it on or auto on. I typically go auto on. And you have your phase adjustment, either 0 degrees or 180 degrees, depending on what phase you need. Just below that, you have your connections for your LFE connection, which is the left connection, or you have your stereo connection, left, right, whichever one you're using. And below that, you have your main on-off switch. And you also have your power connection right there, depending on what you need. And there's also a fuse. Now, to route your cables out, Acoustics is giving you just a little hole down here at the bottom so you can route your cables through there. They'll come through the bottom and they'll come out from under the speaker so you can keep that door closed. And I think that's pretty cool. But overall, I think Acoustics has done a great job with the back of this. I really like this Q. I think it looks really cool. And the fact that you can close this door up, and so you've got a nice clean look on the back of your subwoofer, which you won't see, but at the same time, it's a nice attention to detail. Moving on to the bottom of the subwoofer, as you can see, you have the nice black surface finish here on the cabinet, and you also have floor spikes on each one of the four corners. Now, these floor spikes, I have the rubber caps on them just to protect the table, but they come off really easily, just like that. And you can see the spike there if you have carpet, but obviously if you have hardwood floors, you probably want to use the rubber cap. But these spikes are self-adjusting, so you can adjust them very, very easily up or down, so you can make your subwoofer taller or shorter depending on your needs. And they also spin off if you don't want them at all. But the other thing you can see here on the bottom of the subwoofer is the hole for the power cable, and the subwoofer cable comes out here and it goes to your wall or wherever it needs to go from there. So from the back of the amplifier through this hole and out. Now let's talk setup. To set this up, the first thing I did was I broke it in for about 30 hours or so, playing different movies and music just to kind of move the subwoofer in and out and to exercise it. From that point, I took the subwoofer, I put it in my main listening position, and I played a 40 hertz tone. And from there, I got on the floor and I crawled around my room listening for where that 40 hertz tone sounded the best. For me, it sounded the best right down there on the floor in between my television and the front left speaker. So I took the subwoofer, I put it in that corner, and I ran Odyssey on my receiver so I could set the level for this. Typically, I have my subwoofer set right around 76 dB or so, and so I set this for that, and then I began my review process. Now let's move on, and I'm going to play a few audio samples so you can hear how the B12 sounds. But I do want to make one quick note. I recorded these clips with the B12 and the Acoustic speakers that I have here, which includes a pair of 3050i floor standing speakers, and I'm using a 3010i as the center channel. That way you can hear not only how the subwoofer sounds, but how it pairs with a 3000i lineup of speakers. Hopefully you enjoyed those audio samples. Now I'm going to rank the B12 in a few different categories from 1 to 5. 1 being the absolute worst and 5 being the absolute best. In the design category, I give the B12 a 4.5 out of 5. I really like the way this cabinet looks. I like the curved edges. The surface finish is very, very nice. It's nice and premium. I like the fact that the cabinet actually surrounds the grill because it does give it a nice, timeless, classic look that I appreciate personally. I also like the way the back looks, as I mentioned before. I like the fact that you've got these lines here that kind of fade into this Acoustics logo down here. Obviously, you won't ever see the back because it'll be against the wall, but it just looks good and I like it. I also like the fact that they give you all of the controls that you need, including crossover, level, phase adjustments, and they include it in a little door so it's hidden back there and you can just snake your cords out the way you want to. I just think they did a really good job with the design of the subwoofer, and I gotta give them a 4.5 out of 5. In the sound quality category, I have to give the B12 a 4.5 out of 5. I really like the way this sounds. Once I started listening to it, the first thing I noticed was you get a lot of detail because this is a sealed box. You don't have any port noise or anything like that at any frequency. So you get a lot of detail in your bass. It also actually plays pretty deep. Now, technically it only goes down to 28 hertz or whatever, but I was able to get it to play at 20 hertz. Now, it won't play below 20 hertz very well, but it will do 20 hertz. And so you get a lot of depth with this subwoofer. But it, again, obviously plays very, very well in the 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 hertz area. It plays very, very well there. When I was listening to music, it has a nice smooth sound to it, to the bass when you have it, and it has nice detail, but it will also rumble your room. I could feel the floor shaking, I could feel the bass in my body, I could feel all of those things at the appropriate moments when watching movies. So this does a great job. And let me just say this, that applies to both the Acoustic speakers that I was using, but it also applies to my clip speakers because I tried those first with this subwoofer and they both sound really, really good. It blends very, very nicely with both Acoustic speakers and clip speakers. So I have to give this a 4.5 out of 5 for sound quality. The final category I'm going to rank is value, and I have to give this a 4.5 out of 5. This retails for $4.99 for the black and white version and $5.99 for the gloss black and gloss white versions. And that is for a 12-inch sealed subwoofer, which is a really, really good deal for that. Now, there are a few out there that are going to be a little bit cheaper for 12-inch subwoofers, but honestly, I'm not sure you're going to find one that sounds as good as this for a 12-inch sealed subwoofer at that price range. So I'm only docking it a half a point because you can find ones that are cheaper, but honestly, I'm not sure you can find ones that are better. So this gets a 4.5 out of 5 for value. Overall, I highly recommend the B12 subwoofer. When playing it with both my clip speakers and the Acoustic speakers that I have here, it did a great job. It plays nice and deep, but it has a lot of great detail and a smoothness that you don't always find in subwoofers. It also is a great value at $4.99 or $5.99 if you get the gloss versions. It's just a great value. I mean, you don't find very many 12-inch subwoofers for those kinds of prices. So if you are looking for a subwoofer and you're kind of thinking, man, I want something that's a little bit smaller, but will definitely give me some rumble and I'll be able to feel the bass, definitely check out the B12 because it is a great subwoofer regardless if you have Acoustic speakers or not. So if you want to purchase this or anything else from Acoustics, why don't you use those links in the description below. Thank you guys for watching. We'll talk to you next time.